Hello and welcome to Real Talk with Dr. Cathy Coleman. I'm your host and I'm really glad to have you today. Today we're going to be talking about something that I know that has been near and dear to many of us amidst this COVID-19 pandemic that we're in. And with us today, I brought a very special guest. Judith will help us understand what we're experiencing. We're going to be talking about anxiety. And Judith is a psychotherapist, a licensed marriage and family therapist who spends much of her day trying to help those who are struggling deal with this very topic. So I thought none better than Judith to come to help us. So, Judith, welcome to the show today.
Hi, Dr. Coleman. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction, and thank you for having me here today.
It's such a privilege and just an extreme pleasure to have you all the way from California. We love you. We want to get right into our show today because we want to talk about anxiety. We know that we're having a really difficult time in our world, not just our country. And many people have been experiencing anxiety. So I wanted to bring you on to talk about that. Tell me what you're hearing and can you give us some guidance as it relates to what people can do who are experiencing a high level of anxiety?
Yes. Well, with anxiety, I think it's very important to recognize what are some of the symptoms, right? Because with anxiety, there's a lot of physiological things that are going on as well as mental. With the mental, a lot of it is worrying, ruminating thoughts, just kind of concerns about uncertainty and everything that's going on. But also how that impacts our bodies, right? So when we think about things that we're constantly worrying, we can start to notice some physical impacts. Like, for example, tightness in the chest, rapid heart rate, and breathing increases. Some people experience sweaty palms, or it's just kind of like an overwhelming sensation that you have in the body that is just that overwhelming. And so
Absolutely.
a lot of people that I have been talking to have been experiencing anxiety, not only because of what's going on in the world and locally in their areas, but also just not knowing what to expect or what's going on because the news is constantly changing.
Absolutely. Thank you so
Mhm.
much for that. So I want to just, yes, affirm a lot going on, right? You
Mhm.
mentioned earlier, Judith, about the thinking and how the way that we think really does impact, how anxious we feel. What are some
Mhm.
things that our viewers can do to minimize those feelings of high levels of anxiety?
Mm. Yes, the body is very related, right? Our mind body, uh, we have kind of like that mind body situation going on, right?
Yes.
And it also impacts how we behave and how we react. So, one of the things that's important to recognize is what are we thinking, right? Is this valid? Is it something that is true? We can prove it with evidence that we have, right? So, let's say we have a thought about, um, I don't know, what could be a thought? We can worry about running out of toilet paper, let's say, right? Because that was real. But you have toilet paper, and sometimes we can have irrational thoughts about this situation, right? And so we can check ourselves and fact check and say, is this real? Do I not have enough toilet paper? Yes, I have enough toilet paper. And
Yes.
so we can use that to kind of challenge our negative thoughts and replace it with something that's a little bit more positive and something that's true. And that way it can kind of help calm us down. So
Yeah.
another thing that we can do is also taking a deep breath, right? Kind of calming and grounding the body. Taking a deep breath allows us to kind of slow down and to give our brain an opportunity to think. And we can actually control that thought into something that's a little bit more positive, something that's affirming and uplifting. And that way we can, in turn, like I said, the mind body is connected, in turn, relax our bodies, and our behaviors will also be impacted, and we won't be as reactive as we would be if we were more emotionally charged.
Thank you so much for that, Judith. So, giving ourselves some grounding technique, right?
Mhm.
Some just being able to say, you know what, where am I right now? I'm okay right now in this moment. And taking those deep breaths help us to really regulate ourselves, right? So, this
Yes.
idea of grounding technique, I really love it. One of the things that I have historically used in my practice is affirmation, affirming self, and others. But when it comes to my feelings of being anxious, and whether it's anxiousness, feeling anxiety or depression, just this idea of affirming myself. Can you help us with some ideas of how, if we're not used to affirming ourselves, what
Mhm.
are some things that we can do to begin today to practice that?
Well, one thing that I would say is very important is to give yourself permission, right? It's okay to be anxious. It's okay if I'm feeling depressed or if I'm fearful or if something is not really going the way that we want it to. We're humans and there's so much around us that we can't really control. And just kind of sit with that for a little bit, just so that we're not overbearing ourselves and being too hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
And giving ourselves that permission can help with those affirmations. So once we recognize, okay, I'm feeling a little anxious, it's okay for me to be anxious, maybe focusing on something that we have been successful at in the past. So something affirming could be, I am anxious or I have been anxious, but I can get through this. I have
Yeah.
been able to get through this in the past, right?
Yes.
This too shall pass is another really positive thing.
I'm
I
okay.
I'm
Right?
okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I can do this. I'm confident. I am able. It seems so simple, but those words are so powerful because we're speaking life into the body.
That's absolutely right. Thank you so much, Judith. I do want us to know that we will get through this. We hear
Mhm.
on the media that we'll get through this together, and I absolutely believe that we will get through this together, and we will get through it, Judith, by many of the things that you have shared with us today. I think if people are aware and know what they feel and really are able to change those negative thoughts and affirm something positive, I believe that it will help, even just in the day to day. I always say, I think it's important to do something fun.
Mhm.
Can you share with us about your thoughts about during this time where people may feel guilty, right, about having fun? What is the importance, as you have practiced, in doing something fun?
Having fun just kind of goes back to what we were talking about, affirming ourselves. There is, like I said, a lot that's going on, and you know we can't deny that there is a lot of sad things that are going on as well, because many people are losing their families either to the virus or to different for different reasons. We're unable to interact socially like how we used to be. Now we have this thing that's social distancing,
Yeah.
where for some people they have translated to isolation,
Yes.
and in
Yeah.
reality it's not. Social distancing, obviously keeping our distance from each other, but not necessarily isolation. And I think that's something that's very important, especially for those of us extroverts who really like to be around people. I'm
Yeah.
talking to myself.
Thank you so much for bringing that up. I absolutely agree.
Yes.
Social distancing, I like to say it's really about physical distancing, because
Mhm.
socially, I think we're able, right, to have friendships and do things with the people that we love. And to your point, we are not isolating. And
Mm-mm.
actually, we're advocating that you don't isolate, that you find people with whom you can share, times of authenticity and fun and all of that, and
Mhm.
bring that out in this time of pandemic. So we're out of time, Judith, but I want to say thank you so much for joining me. Is there any last words that you would like to say?
Be creative and have fun, right? Find something that you like to do, something that you enjoy, that you find pleasure, or learn a new skill. Do a hobby or something that you have maybe done in the past, or maybe picking up something new that you've been wanting to learn, or do a project or something that you've been wanting to do. Something that will kind of take your mind off of all the noise that's around and just kind of gives you time to do something that you like and that you can enjoy.
Thank you so much. You heard it. Do something fun. Well, it's been fun having you, Judith. And I'd like to thank all of our viewers and listeners. Thank you for watching Real Talk with Dr. Cathy Coleman. We'll see you real soon. Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you.